It's Cookie Lab.
Hi, and welcome to Cookie Lab. I'm Jill.
And I'm Chris. And Jill, are you ready for the master recipe for cookies? The one recipe that controls them all?
What are you talking about?
We refer to it as the Lord of the Rings recipe.
The one true recipe?
Yes. I've been seeing people say, I made these 5 cookies from this one recipe, this one master cookie dough.
Interesting.
And I wanted to try that out because
Cool.
it simplifies what we do. If we just have one recipe from which we can then build different cookies. Mm-hmm. We're always building a lot of cookies. Mm-hmm. So I looked online to see what people had used for a master recipe. And they're all different.
Oh, so there is no one true unless you have developed it
Now
yourself?
there is. This is the one true recipe to control them all. Is it control? What is the quote?
Rule?
To rule them all.
Okay.
The one true recipe to rule them all. I am calling it the Cookie Lab Master Recipe.
I already like it. I'm looking at the cookies. It has a great looking texture and it includes M&Ms, which is a throwback to our very first episode and my very first fail, the one bowl M&M cookie from the New York Times that doesn't work.
Yes, so we go back to the beginning. We have since made
a more successful
version of M&M cookies, and we may have made them with Mighty-licious flour.
We make so many cookies on Cookie Lab.
Yes,
but we do love Mighty-licious flour.
So this is the Cookie Lab Master gluten-free cookie dough, which using Mighty-licious flour, you would never know.
No.
You could use regular flour if you wanted. Go ahead.
But you probably want the Mighty-licious because it's so fine.
It is so fine. Here I have my development notebook. I first got this idea from a young woman on TikTok. She calls herself Audrey Cakes. She makes 5 different types of cookies, and it's just basic butter, brown sugar, granulated sugar, eggs, salt, vanilla, flour, cornstarch, baking soda, and baking powder. Basically, everything that goes into
most any cookie.
New York Times chocolate chip cookie. I was like, that's my favorite cookie. Why not use that as a cookie base?
Because it has too much flavor.
It does have
it's not a blank canvas.
A very specific flavor. Interestingly, Audrey uses 3/4 cup of brown sugar and 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. Less granulated sugar than brown sugar. New York Times uses 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar and 1 cup of granulated sugar. So also less granulated sugar than brown sugar. So I started to change everything into grams so that I could really look at a comparison. So Audrey uses 226 grams of butter. New York Times uses 282 grams of butter. Not too different.
Okay.
She uses 100 grams of granulated sugar. New York Times uses 200 grams of sugar. The butter's not that different, but the amount of sugar is significantly different. So I'm thinking, well, for a master recipe, what do I want? Do I want lots of sugar? Do I want little sugar? So had to think about that. Last time I made a cookie from Brookie's Cookies.
Mm-hmm. The amazing stuffed Biscoff cookie. If you haven't seen that episode, go back and watch it because it's delicious.
It is delicious even for a Biscoff cookie. She used 270 grams of sugar for 225 grams of butter. So we're all in the same butter area. The difference really seemed to be in the sugar and the flour. Some people use 400 grams of flour. Some people use 500 grams of flour,
That's
540 grams.
25% more.
Well, the thing that's similar between all of these is butter. 226 grams of butter, 1 cup.
1 cup of butter.
In the master recipe, the Cookie Lab master recipe. And then I went back to our old friend.
The golden ratio?
The golden ratio.
Fat, flour, and sugar.
And that is 1 part fat, 2 parts flour, 2 parts sugar, and 2 eggs.
Does it work for the master recipe, the one true recipe?
Yes. 1 part butter, 1 cup. 1 cup sugar, 1 cup brown sugar.
So that's 2 cups.
And then I went a little more on the flour, 3 cups of flour.
Okay, why did you do that?
It creates cookies that are a little thicker. And I didn't want my cookies to be thin
To be
and
flat.
spread.
Okay.
2 eggs, 2 teaspoons vanilla, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. I was trying to make a cookie that just didn't spread because I knew of the terrible experience that we had with good tasting, but just M&M cookies that spread all over the place.
I don't even remember that.
I refrigerated it and for 24 hours, and then I made the cookies. I divided the recipe in half because I want to make different types of cookies.
That's the whole idea.
Yeah. So I had enough to make like 24 cookies, 2 dozen. So I said, I'll make a dozen of one cookie and I'll make a dozen of another that I'll share next week on Cookie Lab.
Ooh, he's got a cookie in the hopper, folks. I gotta start from scratch. Can you see the value of this master cookie dough?
Right?
Yeah.
And then I have like 5 episodes worth of cookies.
Oh, man. Shall we eat the cookie?
I just want to talk to you a little bit about baking soda and baking powder. As we know, baking soda is a leavening agent that helps cookies spread, and baking powder is one that makes them poof, right? So I put more baking powder. Did you know that there's an exciting history of baking powder and baking soda?
I don't think I did know of any exciting history.
Here we go, very quickly. In the 30s, bakers in England and America began using sodium bicarbonate,
Baking soda.
baking soda, mixed with sour milk to leaven bread dough instead of yeast.
Why were they, like, was there a yeast shortage?
Interesting. I don't know. Maybe they wanted something faster.
Okay. Yeah, because you have to wait for the dough
And
to
in
rise.
the winter, it's hard if
Yeah.
your house is not heated
Yes.
like our houses
To
are
keep
heated.
keep those yeast bugs happy.
Yeah. They used a product called saleratus.
Saleratus?
Saleratus. And it was a form of chemical leavener. Prior to that, in the 1700s, in 1790, people were using something called pearl ash, which is...
I've heard of none of this.
It's the white powdery salt derived from the ashes of burnt wood. You know when your wood burns to a white?
Yes.
You can extract the salts from that. It was called pearl ash, and they used it for cooking, for rising. It's actually a more refined version of potash.
Which I have heard of.
Yes, which is the unpurified potassium carbonate mixture extracted from wood ash. So we've heard of potash. Pearl ash is more refined, and the saleratus is even more refined.
Okay.
So basically, it is sodium bicarbonate. In 1846, jump ahead to 1846, John Dwight and Austin Church founded the first American factory to produce baking soda.
Not Arm and Hammer?
Nope. Dwight and Church. In
Who knew?
1856, Eben Norton Horsford patented the first practical baking powder by combining baking soda with an acid salt like cream of tartar and cornstarch, creating a more consistent and reliable leavening agent. It really wasn't until the mid-1850s that baking powder existed at all. I imagine the cookies that people were making were kind of thin, crisp cookies. Prior to that, kind of tasted like wood.
I don't think that.
No. So now that's the history of baking soda, baking powder, and the Cookie Lab Master gluten-free cookie dough recipe.
I cannot wait to try it.
Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. Here we go.
Absolutely perfect.
Nice nooks and
You could win a
crannies.
prize with this thing. Let's taste it.
Beautifully caramelized and Lillardized on the bottom.
There's so many M&Ms I can't even taste the cookie. I'll go to nibble off a piece here.
Yeah. Cook this at 350 degrees for 16 minutes.
The base is definitely chocolate chip, reminiscent of chocolate chip cookie, perhaps a little sweeter. I'm very curious to see how you could adapt this.
I can taste the vanilla.
Just the cookie
It's
part.
not as brown sugary to me as...
No, it's like almost like a cross between a chocolate chip and sugar cookie.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was going for.
Success!
But you know how sugar cookies can be a little cakier? Well, that's what I think of when
They
I think
shouldn't
of.
be.
But a delicious cookie. 1 cup of M&Ms.
Wow. Not a fail.
Very satisfying.
Pretty sweet though.
With
It's
the M&Ms.
M&Ms.
So here's what I had to think of as I thought of making this recipe. I had to think about science.
I should hope so. This is Cookie Lab.
Adding more flour creates thicker cookies. Denser, drier. So you have to think about, I don't want too dense of a cookie. I don't want too dry of a cookie. But it gives you more structure and less spread. You don't want a tough, crumbly, or bread-like texture instead of that tender, moist, or chewy cookie. So you just have to keep that in mind when you're doing that with the flour, when you're choosing your flour amounts. Butter results in cookies that are thinner, flatter, and crispier due to the increased fat content and less structure. You don't want them too greasy. The fat actually acts as a tenderizer, reducing the cookie's ability to hold its shape. Sugar, adding more sugar to the cookie, results in flatter, crisper cookies. And sweet.
Because those things melt. Butter and sugar melt.
Yeah.
Flour doesn't really melt.
Right, exactly. Sugar can give you a buttery scotch flavor.
From like the caramelization process.
Exactly, yeah. And sugar can also, like salt, be used as a flavor enhancer of other things. So sometimes you just add a little sugar to something.
Yeah, like
and
French fries. I think McDonald's puts sugar on their French fries.
And it brings out like the potato flavor. It also influences texture by attracting moisture. So in a flour with gluten in it, that slows the gluten development and contributes to the spread and chewiness. Brown sugar makes a softer, chewy, thicker cookie from the moisture from the molasses. However, too much brown sugar can result in really dark cookies, excessively soft, or overly moist. It doesn't spread as much.
That sounds pretty delicious to me. I think some of your adverbs kind of had a negative connotation there.
Excessively soft.
Sounds pretty good, but go ahead.
I knew since I was adding 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of brown sugar that I was going to have to add more flour than other recipes had called for. And therefore, we came up with this master cookie recipe. You do have to, I think, I'm guessing on this, substitute things as you're changing your recipe. Next week, I'm going to make a red velvet cookie stuffed with cream cheese.
Yum.
To make red velvet cookies, you add cocoa
powder
and red food coloring.
Okay.
I'm going to add 25 grams of cocoa powder.
And so will you take away like 25 grams of something else?
Flour.
Flour, okay.
Because they're texturally the same. And I'm a little worried because I'm adding like a tablespoon of red food coloring. And it also calls for vinegar.
That's a lot of liquid.
It's a lot of liquid. So maybe I don't remove the flour.
Maybe not.
I'll have to think about it.
Okay.
And see what happens. I can't wait for next week.
Yeah. Keep us posted
hope
on
you
that.
come.
Yes, I'd love to come. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. See you next week.
Bye.
It's Cookie Lab.